I just played a map called Chasing Time made by 𝑺𝒉𝒂𝒓𝒊𝒃𝒆, a short and sweet map about going back in time to save the world from a zombie apocalypse. The map is mostly story based with a tiny element of combat and an even smaller element of puzzle and skill. I would say it is more of an interactive story than it is a game, but a story where you do not make any decisions. The tasks given are very simple and very small. Walk to this barn, harvest this wheat, connect these wires, go to this room, fight these enemies. 𝑺𝒉𝒂𝒓 obviously did not intend for this map to be centered on gameplay mechanics, and that is perfectly fine because it works well as a nice simple story. I highly recommend this map to people who are looking for story-based maps. However, I would not recommend this map to people who enjoy challenging puzzles, parkour, or engaging combat. Before I continue the review, here is a quick disclaimer. I liked the map. I talk about many things that can be improved, but please do not take this as a negative review. I talk a lot about the negatives because those are the parts we can learn from the most, and so I talk about them the most. Again, I liked this map, don't take this as a negative review. Now the first thing I want to talk about is the map's polish. When I say polish, I'm talking about the minor details which separate a good map from a great map. If you want an example of polish done extremely well, I recommend Noxcrew's 𝒌𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂 detail. For example, the sound effects the doors made at the beginning, the sounds used around the village, the textures of the leaves and trees, the texture of the signs, the custom textures in the lab which matched well with the vanilla palette used, and even the block models of some of the machinery used in the map worked quite well. But no map is perfect, and this is no exception. First of all, I did not feel like the dialogue had much proofreading. There were some words which were missing capital letters and a few spelling mistakes. These are minor details, but they are important details. You want your player to be focused on the story and not the spelling mistakes. If you ever intend to release a map with lots of text, make sure you proofread every single line before publishing. In addition to this, some of the colours used were difficult to read. I understand that Laura's character had purple text because she was a purple character, but if I were making this map, I would have picked a different colour that's more readable. The purple is too difficult to read, especially when it clashes with the player's HUD. It makes me wonder what this map could have been if all the dialogue was voice acted instead. Maybe VU4 did not want to take the huge risk voice acting is, and if that's the case, then I would say using Tell Raw was a good and safer decision. However, if you are a map maker and you feel like you are capable of having a voice acted map, you should do that instead, especially if the map is story based like this one. Okay, textures. The textures weren't always used effectively. I mean, the laboratory's textures worked because they matched the colours of the vanilla game and they weren't high resolution, which helped it match. However, the creator did use some high definition textures, namely the log texture. This is a risky decision because sometimes it can backfire. Fortunately, it worked well when used in the forest. From a distance, the high definition textures can actually look good because it is difficult for the player to see the clash with Minecraft's 16x16 textures. The high resolution textures worked in this case, but when they were used in the homes, they fell apart. By putting those two textures right next to Minecraft's default textures in the building, it became very obvious and felt quite out of place. Here, it would have been better to use the default log texture instead. The items in the map also needed a few minor tweaks. I'll start with the positives. It's great to see custom textures used for items. When you use Minecraft default textures for the items, it just feels like you are playing survival Minecraft and not a Minecraft map. This is important in story-based maps because they are anything but survival-based. With that being said, I feel like the following changes could have been made. Give the book at the end a custom texture to make it look tattered and part of the map, rather than just putting the word tattered on the item lore. Make all the tools unbreakable to hide the durability bar. Rename these tools. There is no way this is a diamond hoe and there is no way this is a diamond axe. You can use the generator from MC Toolbox to color, underline, bold, and remove the italics from item names and item laws. rename and retexture the rotten flesh and redstone textures in this chest so it doesn't look like you simply threw in some redstone and rotten flesh. Now, if you haven't been able to tell from this video, the music is actually the music that is being played in the map. For the most part, the music was great. It was only used when needed. I'm glad there was no music when I was traveling from place to place because it made the cutscenes seem more important, which is exactly what you want in a story-based map. However, I felt that compared to the rest of the sounds, the music was far too loud, most notably at the beginning of the map when a first impression is made. The looping was nice and seamless, however the sudden stops did take me out of the experience just a little bit. I understand the solution to this is complicated, but I feel like if you're going to have music everywhere, you need to be prepared for this. Please see the Redstone Scientist's solution for this problem if you're currently making a map that involves custom music. Each cutscene goes from a specified amount of time, so you could actually match the music with this time and create a fade out that way. This will work every time you are ending a dialogue based cutscene and cutting the music at the same time. Before I end this video with all the positives of this map, I just want to do a little bit of nitpicking. These are things that personally annoy me, so I ask that you do not take this part into the review into as much consideration as the rest of the review, and decide for yourself instead by just playing the map. Firstly, I can jump on the legs of all the NPCs. That can be solved by making the NPCs armor stands instead of block models. In addition to this, you would be able to position the head and pose of each NPC to give them more character. Unfortunately, every NPC encounter is just a still model facing a direction. This makes their characters a little bit more bland than what they should be. See how 𝑧𝒉𝒂𝒓𝒄𝒄 is developing his NPCs in his Pokemon Cobalt and Amethyst map. And see how Dr. Barney in Noxcrew's Swoop Force map behaves to see how more character could have been achieved. Even if it is a simple pose every 10 seconds, it would have made a huge improvement. Celebrity cameos were used in such a crucial part of the story. This is the climax of the story and you put the celebrity cameos here of all places. I don't mind cameos, but when you use them in such important parts of the story, it can take away from the experience. The love story in this map felt forced. The main character falls in love almost immediately and acknowledges that love immediately. If you're going to pull a love at first sight trick, then you need to still make it grounded by making the main character question their emotions and feelings like every human being when they fall in love. Now, the motivations of each character is just simply love. Now, if the map was longer than 45 minutes, I would have been disappointed, but this was a short experience and I'll say the cliches are forgivable. However, I feel like the lore could have been deeper. Again, 𝒂𝒓𝒄𝒄 achieves this through subtle details including hidden signs and hidden messages throughout their map. A link to Noxcrew's video explaining this will be in the description. I also found it a little bit silly how Laura mentions a virus and Matt, the main character, automatically assumes it is a zombie virus and it just happens to be 100% correct. Really takes me out of the experience when a character pulls ideas out of thin air for no reason and they just happen to be 100% fact. Happens in movies all the time. The hunger bar was never used and could have been removed using the inbuilt resource pack. There was no natural barrier around the world, so I could fall into the void if I wanted to. The last thing I wanted to address are of course the positives of the map and the reason why you might want to play it. And it's the reason why this map is getting a lot of attention because of these elements. The music felt appropriate for each situation. The custom trees looked nice, the homes were small but they looked sweet. Ambient sounds were used effectively. The map had plenty of Easter eggs. Zombies had a custom texture so it didn't feel like survival Minecraft. The use of scripted particles and sounds were effective. There were a good use of custom models and textures for the most part, and I did not encounter a single bug. Anyway, I'll leave you with this short clip of me playing this map because I believe that this is the best and most important part of the entire map. The music enters at the perfect time and the way everything is introduced just works really well. Enjoy, and thank you all very much for watching.